you guys, this is Arlene with another Copic tutorial video. In this video I'm just going to share some random stuff with you guys about Copic coloring, and we're going to go ahead and color in this image by the Greeting Farm, and this is one of the newer images. She's called Fancy Anya. So I'm going to be paper piecing her dress, but we'll do her hair and her skin and maybe even do the At You Speak glitter pens on her barrettes and her shoes. So first of all, I wanted to talk about the Copic class that Bona and I attended. It was my very first class. We attended this past Monday, and it was a basic class. It just taught us about 3 different techniques of coloring, which is just the basic Copic coloring, which is like sort of going in circles, just kind of blending in circles. And then there was a feathering technique where you kind of feather 2 colors into each other, or even 3 colors. And then the third technique was tip to tip, which was kind of interesting. So I'm not going to share those techniques with you on this video today, but I just kind of wanted to share some of the stuff we got in class. So we got this Stamping with Copic brochure, and this basically just gives you some of the basics and some of the things that we talked about in class. Paper for stamping, what types of inks you should use, the coloring process, blending, special effects, how the colorist blender works, and just those sort of things. And so just some of the basics I'll share with you guys is that for those of you who haven't invested in Copic markers, they are alcohol-based markers, and they blend very well on smooth surfaces. So when you buy paper for Copic coloring, some of the known names you'll hear out there are Nina, Gina K Luxury Cardstock, Copic Express. MFT has some really cool panels that I love to color on. What I'm going to be coloring on today is the Paper Tray Ink white cardstock, and it's 110-pound weight cardstock, so it's very, very durable. And it blends well. I found that it blends well. It does soak up the ink quite a bit, but you basically pay the price for a good look. So the blending actually looks really good. So I got that brochure. Of course, I got 10% off, so I can use this up until the 14th, which is really cool. And that was for attending the class. They also gave us this color wheel, which is really neat. I've never seen this one before, but it basically tells you the different color families within the Copic realm. And basically the way that you blend is you go anywhere left to right is the way that they do it. So for example, if you wanted to get like a really good blend in the R family, you would go R81, R83, R85, if you guys can see that. So that's basically how the wheel works. And also just explains to you what the meaning of the color is when you read the color on the cap. You know, what exactly does that mean? And again, I'm not going to go through those details in this video. Maybe I can do that in another video. I just want to give you kind of some overviews. Here's a couple of the papers that they gave us for samples. They gave us the Nina Classic White, the Copic Express, and then the Basil Simply Smooth. The Basil is quite thin, so it would definitely bleed through. They recommend that you do make sure you're working with a surface that's protected because the markers can bleed through. Again, they're alcohol-based. So now we were sort of limited on the colors that we had in class to blend with. They had 2 colors within the same family that we could blend with, but then different color families, so we really couldn't blend too much. But I did this poinsettia with the greens that I had, and there were only 2 greens that I had on the table. And how I made it look so dimensional is I shadowed where I thought there would be shadows under the leaves with my darker green, and then I just colored in with my lighter green. And then there was yellow on the table, 2 different colors of yellow, so that's how I did the center of that one. And then this one I just was sort of playing around, and we were like sort of laughing because we were making grass, but we did the tip to tip technique on this, and that's how I was able to achieve 2 colors. And it's just kind of like grass we were playing around. And then here's my butterfly. Okay, so we did that in class, and then I wanted to share this with you guys. If you go to the Hero Arts website, you can actually download this chart, and it's really, really cool. It was put together by Lisa Spangler, and she's a designer for Hero Arts, and it gives you some tips on the different colors that you can use for hair, cheeks, dress and shoes, you know, for brunette hair, light blonde. I have my little recipes up here that I have written out for red hair, dark brown hair, gold, and then golden brown hair. So those are my sort of my recipes. And I believe with the golden brown hair, I'm almost certain this is the recipe that I used. I can't recall now, to color in my little Stella. And I love the way her hair came out. So, but today we're going to be using a different color to color in this Fancy Anya. So let's go ahead and get started on the coloring. Oh, and I always use my Memento Tuxedo Black ink whenever stamping, and I like to stamp on a firm surface. You can use a mouse pad. Mouse pads are cool, but sometimes it just gets too blotchy for me. So I use actually my notebook, and it comes out really perfect. So works for me. Whatever works for you guys, do it. Just make sure you're working on a flat surface when you stamp. So I went ahead and put Fancy Anya onto my block, and then I'm just going to go ahead and ink her up with my Memento ink. And I like to apply my ink with the stamp face up so I can see the even coverage of the ink onto my image. The cool thing about the Tuxedo Black Memento ink is as soon as you stamp it, it's pretty much ready to color. Okay, and these greeting farm stamps stamp really good, so, and the images are so adorable. They're really fun to color because they have a lot of hair and they have a lot of skin, so we have a lot of area to work with. Now for the skin, I'm going to be using 4 colors, and then I have my R20 for my blush. So for skin, I like to use E00, E000, and then E21 and E11. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and lay down a base first of my E000, and then I'm going to start shading in with my darker colors. And the way that I shade in this order is E11, E21, and then E00, and I'm going to be doing all of my blending of the skin with my E000. Okay, so we're going to start off with the E000. We're going to be using the nib, which is signified by this gray band on the marker. Okay, so you see there's no gray band. It's so funny, like Bandy and I were laughing in class because we didn't realize that. But if you see, the nib tip is always going to be gray and the chisel is always white. You see that? Did not know that. Been coloring with these forever and didn't know that. So, okay, so we're going to start off with the E000. And I'm going to go ahead and do an all over color of her skin. And right now I am not concerned about even coverage. I'm just going to go ahead and lay the color down. Okay, now you want to make sure you move rather quickly, and you want to do skin section at a time to make sure that the blending comes out even. Okay. Now I'm just kind of guessing where the sun's going to be hitting her face. Okay, so that was my E11. Then I'm going to go in with E21. And you're just going to kind of blend in the darker color into the lighter color. And then going in with my E000 again. Okay, now I'm going to go back in with my darker color where I think there's going to be more of a shadow. Obviously it's going to be more on her hairline. It's one thing about Copic coloring too, you just have to be really patient to achieve the look you're wanting. And then what I'm going to do, oops, let me just do a little bit more. I'm going to take my R20 and I'm going to take the chisel end and the nib end of my E000, and I'm going to brush off some of the R20 and I'm going to apply that for her blush. And I found that this actually comes out a lot better. It's a more natural looking blush than just laying down the R20 and then blending it. Now I'm not really too concerned at this point on any of the blotchiness because I'm just going to kind of rub off some of the, because some of that is going to blend in as the ink dries. Okay. Now I'm just going to go ahead and finish up the rest of her skin, and I'm going to fast forward this part. Okay, so there's my image with the skin all colored up. Now we're going to go ahead and do the hair. And the colors that I'm using for hair are going to be E18, E09, E37, and R24 in that order. I'm going to start off with the light color, and then I'm going to work my way in with the E18, E09, and then the E37. Now what you want to do is you want to go in the direction of her hair when you color, and I like to use a feathering technique, which is what I'm doing here, by doing a brush stroke and then pushing it out. So it's a feathering technique. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and lay down the light color all over. Okay, now the base of her hair is going to probably be dark, or the hairline, so I'm going to start off with the E18 on the top of her hair, and again I'm using a feathering stroke. Then I'm going in with E09. Okay, and then the E37. And again, not paying attention to the blending at this time, you guys. Okay, because we're going to be going back and doing some of the blending. Okay, I'm going to go back again with my dark color, the E18. Now I'm going to go in with my E24, and I'm going to sort of blend everything together, or my YR24, sorry guys. And you'll see how the lighter color just kind of makes everything sort of melt together, which is really nice. Okay, do you guys see that? How everything just sort of melts together? I just really love that look. Now see how I kind of went off on the edges? This is where the colorless blender comes in. And this is the, you guys can even see that. It's the 0 colorless blender. Now I like to use the chisel end. This is the chisel end, and I turn it this way, in this direction, and I'm going to be pushing the color in. What the colorless blender does is it actually pushes color into the paper. It doesn't pick it up, because if it picked it up, obviously it would get on your colorless blender. But it pushes the color into the paper, and so it's almost like an eraser. Okay, don't mistake it for a blender, because it's really not a blender. I'm going to use the fine tip here just to get some of the color out of her barrette that kind of went through. You don't want to soak it too much because then the color will smear, but do you see how it took the color away? So my boo-boos are gone. So I'm going to stop there, guys. I'm not going to do the rest of the hair, but I'll show you what the card looks like at the end of this video, and I'm just going to put in a little clip of Bona and Brandy over at our Copic class. So thanks for watching, everyone. Take care. Bye. Hey, Brandy.
Hi. Brandy, Bona, and me are at the Copic class at GT.
My peace sign. Booze. I'm just kidding. Yay! I'm excited.